What is up, late night gamers? This is Loopy here with my teammate Solo. How you doing, Solo?
Yo, I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to do this for one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars,
And
if not the favorite.
Yeah, Big Daddy Lord Vader, and we're here to tell you about this broken deck that we've been optimizing here. So this is a deck tech video. What we're going to do is we're going to go over why you should play Vader, or why you would, what the payoffs are. We're going to give you the full list with a link to the database and a full write-up there. Then we're going to go over all of the cards in the construction, and we're going to end up with some matchups and side advice. So let us know what you think, and hit us up in the comments. Let us know what we're right about, wrong about. But let's start first with why would anybody play this deck? What do you think?
Well, first and foremost, the reason why you're picking this deck is for the leader himself, and that is Lord Vader, Darth Vader. Vader is one of the most powerful units in the game, pound for pound, by himself. He does come out on a hefty 7 resources, but those 7 resources are well spent if you get there. And that's why one of the main reasons you're going to play Vader is to play him with one of the best colors in the game, and that's green, so that you can get him out around the same time, hopefully, as other leaders in the game. But Vader, this is why you're playing this deck, to play this big baddie coming down with a 5 attack and 8 damage, and then a passive ability when he attacks, doing 2 damage anywhere.
So can that hit space
Yes,
units?
you heard that right. That can go into space. Make it make sense, but it doesn't have to make sense because we're playing Star Wars Unlimited. So Vader can go into space with his power when he swings. It doesn't matter. Don't use your imagination. It works.
Just rip the TIE fighter out of the sky and throw it back down at him. And
yes,
you're exactly right that it's paired with green, and I think that many of the best Vader decks are because of the ramp, right? And the other thing that green gets you is kind of these core cards. These are the payoff. This is why you would play this. One is Vader the unit. In Star Wars Unlimited, you can have the leader and the unit. It's the subtext that matters underneath, so they can have copies of these both out at once, which is usually going to happen. The Vader unit is perhaps the strongest single unit in the game, certainly the strongest 7-drop legendary of those 4. And the reason why is a couple. One is ambush. What it does when it ambushes is it can attack something right away. And then while he's waiting to ambush, he actually has an ability to search the top 10 cards of the deck, look for any number of villainy cards, adding up to 3, and then play each of them for free. So we'll talk about some of the combos later here that Vader can pull out. But unlike basically any other unit in the game, even if Vader dies, it can get you value. All right, so the next one up is Overwhelming Barrage. How do you feel about that card, Solo?
Overwhelming Barrage is the best card in the game. It's pretty agreed upon a lot of the content creators and a lot of players alike. And what makes Overwhelming Barrage even more powerful is the fact that in this deck, your Overwhelming Barrage has an even greater impact on the game than others, because a lot of your units have that nice number called 5. That 5 damage paired with Overwhelming Barrage, which, as it reads, it gives +2 attack and defense to a unit for this phase. And so that turns, like, the mainstay of this deck, the Vader unit, turns him into a 7/10 for the turn. And so 7 damage should just about clear either one-shot certain units or clear out a bunch of units in both arenas. So not only do you get Vader swinging into any arena passively, you also can pair that with overwhelming barrage to do a term that we call time walk, where you can time walk your opponent and completely flip the game on its head. And so that's overwhelming barrage is one of the cards that helps this deck, even when behind, thrust itself back into the game and close it out.
And it's especially effective against decks like Krennic that leave like 1 or 2 health on all of their guys and damage units. I mean, it can be like a 4 for 1 where you take out 4 cards with just that one. All right, the next 4 cards for the Vader deck is the ramp. Okay, and we have Super Laser Technician, the infamous DJ Suicide, pictured here. Resupply is the other event card that does a similar effect. But what this little feller does is when he kills himself, he goes into a resource and becomes ready. And this is important because in Star Wars Unlimited, ramping wins games. And if you can get your leader out sooner, that's great. I mean, if you can get Vader out the same turn to 5 cost leader comes out, you're probably winning that game. All right, and then the last reason I think
I do want to add this, Luke. One thing you have to know about playing Vader, you have to know that this combo exists. There is a world where this only happens 1 out of 10 times, but there is a world where Vader leader can be activated on turn 3. You have to know that this combo exists, and the combo requires you to, by turn 3, have a super laser tech, at least 2 super laser techs and a resupply, or 2 resupplies and a super laser tech. And if you have that combination of cards, you will be able to get Vader out by turn 3, which is unprecedented value. And it doesn't happen all the time. You shouldn't play for it. But when you do get it, you need to pivot to it.
And the precise sequencing on that is on turn 2 with 3 resources, you play your super laser tech. Then on turn 4, you attack with your super laser tech, ambush another one in, okay, and then play resupply. And that works out to actually making it up so that you have 6 resources, and as you go to the next turn, you can deploy Vader. All right. And then the base, the last core card, is Energy Conversion Lab. I think it's widely considered and is the best base in the game. It's a 25 health rare base, but it allows you to give any card ambush. You're really looking to compare that with the Super Laser Technician, or oftentimes something like an Imperial Interceptor or the Ruthless Raider to take care of a big space unit. So let's get to the list. So this is the image of the list. This is printed from a database called SWUDB. You can see it there in the corner. You can just search Vader Force Ramp, and you should be able to find it here. A big shout out to Vika. You know Vika, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we watched this guy basically almost take Vader to the finals and to win a league match. You know, just laying 3 items, I think, on the way. And since then, we've been working to get this list optimized. And it is. It's a very optimized list. If you notice all the one-ofs in the sideboard, okay, that's because all of these cards are good and have uses, you know, one way and the other. But you got to adjust. In some things, you're going to want the troopers. In some things, you're going to want the force choke. Some things, you're going to take out the force choke. Some things, you can add a resupply. So this is intended to be optimized for maximum flexibility.
So one thing we must note, right? Vader is not an easy piloted deck. There's a lot of decision points that you have to account for when playing this deck. For instance, on Vader's leader side, not his unit side, but his leader side, what you start the game with, he has an ability that when you play a black card, that's a black card with this symbol on the side, you can pay 1 resource. It's an action. You exhaust Vader, pay 1 resource, to do 1 damage to any units and 1 damage to the base. Key thing to remember for you guys who are looking to pick up this deck, once you do the action, if there is an available unit to do the damage to, you must do that damage. The reason why this is important is because if you activate this ability and only your units are on the board, you will have to damage one of your own units. So that is something to keep in mind when you're playing this deck. So you're playing a little bit below the curve because you have to factor in that resource that you would use in order to do that damage, which can be beneficial in a lot of cases. A great ability.
And you definitely don't want to be killing your own stormtroopers. I mean, so
right.
So watch out. They have 1 health too.
Vader does like to choke his own people, but we don't want to kill the stormtroopers.
Right. They're 3/1s. You want them to die for you. All right. So let's get to the
Where's
cards.
Marty when you need him?
All right. So this is the turn 1 plays. So we were just talking about the Death Star Stormtrooper, and I think this is a great card for 1 whole money buck. You get a 3/1 attacker. It puts pressure on him, and it allows you to play under curve a lot and use the Vader ping, which is exceptionally strong against anything else with 1 health. Just make sure you don't kill your own units.
Right.
All right, and then we have the Viper Probe. What do you feel about that?
So the Viper Probe is a great card. First and foremost, it gives you information when played. You get to look at your opponent's hand. This is great opening because even though your opponent draws 2 cards every turn, it still lets you see key cards that you know you'll have to play around or account for as you proceed in the match. So this is a great opener. Also, it's a 3/2, which is great into the aggro cards because a lot of the aggro cards, their magic number on defense is 3. Outside of maybe a K2SO and Sabine leader, and also Leia, if you're playing Leia aggro, she has 6 health. So, but other than that, a lot of the units in aggro have 3 health. So, especially the openers like Sabine, like what's the guy's name? Actually, no. But Sabine is one of the main units that has a 3 defense that you want to deal with. So this is great opener into the aggro matchup.
Yep, just watch out for its 2 health. I mean, it is not a great play, particularly into Boba Fett Green, because he has the crafty smugglers, and then he's also going to be sending the super laser techs at you. And having a guy that a super laser tech can kill is a real bad idea if you can avoid it.
That's true.
Why the other 2 drops here both have 3 health. The Seasoned Shore Trooper, this is an investment in the future. It comes out as a 2/3, but when you have 6 resources, which will happen pretty soon because this is a ramp deck, it's a 4/3. And then we have the First Legion Snow Trooper, and its ability is to give itself +2, +0, and overwhelm when it's attacking a damaged unit. And how does that play into Vader?
Oh, well, it's phenomenal because of his leader ability. His leader ability actually helps set up this play to do the overwhelm play. So he's a great combination with Vader leader.
Yep. A First Legion Snow Trooper plus a Vader ping equals dead Sabine because she has 5 health. It's important
right.
matchup. All right, so this Vader deck is a little bit different than some that are up on the DB and are played, and it's because of the Force package. So what this package is doing is leveraging the trait Force, which has some very big payoff cards in Force Throw and Force Lightning. But the first unit that does it is Fifth Brother. This guy is an Inquisitor, and he's kind of like a self-flagellating, hurt yourself kind of guy. What he does is he can hurt himself to deal damage to another ground unit. Okay, so he can do 1 damage to anything. Ping a shield, kill a 1 health unit, and he gains raid 1 for every damage that's on him. So, how does this guy match up? What do you use him for?
So, Fifth Brother is great to a lot of times ping. This is actually a good card into the Boba matchup because he can be ECL'd into the match, which ambush one of the best abilities in the game. He can attack what they opened with, and then either ping a Greedo or he can use his damage to trade up to units that are harder to deal with. Maybe like in the control matchup, you have the 4 health, the speeder bike. So there's a lot of use for this guy, but the main reason he is beneficial is because he puts online your force power.
Right. And that's definitely the point with Seventh Sister. I think that in general, she's a pretty mid unit. I mean, she's a 3/6 for 5. Okay, but what she does do is she's thick. She has 6 health. No takedown.
Dang, she's thick?
Yeah, with 2 C's and everything. But, she needs that butt because usually at that point in the game, if you're casting her, you're trying to stick her till the next round so that you can hit them with Force Throw, Force Lightning, take care of some threats. And Saboteur. Saboteur is important. It beats shields, right? So attacking a unit with her, which is not often what you want to do because hitting the base lets you do 3 free damage. But if you attack a unit that has like 3 shields on with Saboteur, it defeats them all. So it can be a counter to something like a Luke or a Chirrut that's just throwing shields all over the place.
Great into green Luke.
Yep. And then the point of sticking a Force unit. And by the way, the Vaders are all Force units too. So don't forget about them. They turn on your Force powers. Okay.
Yes.
But probably one of the strongest cards of the game when it's active is up, and it's Force Throw. And what this does is you choose a player. And you can choose you, or you can choose me. And if you choose yourself, you get to pick the card you discard. If you choose them, they get to pick the card they discard. And then whatever the card discarded is, you can do the damage of that card's cost to a unit, which the person who casts Force Throw always assigned. So this card does 2 things. One, it's extreme emergency removal. If you want to lose games just routinely Force Throw yourself, it's probably like 10-15% of the time is that you should choose a card from your hand and throw it at them. But sometimes you just got to kill the leader, which you have some big cost units to do. But assuming you choose them, which is the ordinary way, and you have a Force unit out, you're going to get a 1-for-1 for sure with whichever they discard from their hand, and then you're going to be able to get to do the damage, which often kills another unit. It's a huge advantage. And we've seen games on our webcasts get turned by Force Throw. Yes?
Right. And I definitely want to add, there's a real cheeky play. This is a little treat for you guys. A real cheeky play where if you have a board state with Vader unit out, and Vader leader unit out, and you play Vader units, and one of the 10 cards you search is a super laser tech, you can use Leader Vader's ability to kill that super laser technician to become a resource, which normally when you play Vader, all your resources are tapped on this turn in a lot of cases. We're talking about the 7 resource turn, just to be specific. Killing super laser tech opens up that 8th resource, which puts in line Force Throw if you have it in your hand. And you have a force units on the board as well. So go ahead.
No, I think that's right. I've done that before too, because then your Vader leader ability can kill the super laser tech that the Vader unit brought out. And the other thing I'll say is about Force Throw. If you don't have a Force unit out, it still says make them discard a card. So if you're anticipating a super laser blast, which is the board wipe, right? It's the 8-cost board wipe. It's entirely reasonable just to make them do it. Or if they seem to be holding on to a barrage, I mean, sometimes it's okay just to take a guess that what they're holding is so good. That's there. Finally, last thing is watch your people. I find that CCG players have all kinds of tells. But one thing about Force Throw decks is resourcing decisions, right? You know, resourcing decisions are very important. If you see them with a real, like, tough resourcing decision, like they're pained. Like, I don't know which card I want to get rid of, right? It's maybe a good time to cast Force Throw later in that turn because you know they got stuff they want to do.
Good point.
Right.
Good point. That's a nice little tidbit. And that's why you watch these deck tech videos, because we will give you, you know, insight into competitive play. There's a game within a game. And so here at Late Night Gaming, we're big on competitive play. So those little tells are why you need to subscribe.
Yeah. And like the videos. Finally, Force Lightning. Now, this card's it's like one of those Leatherman tools that have like 15 attachments coming out of it. Okay, you just gotta play with it. Doesn't seem that great, you know, all the time, but think of all the things that you can do. So, we want to talk about Zap the DJ?
Zap him.
All right. So we talked about Super Laser Tech, right? Super strong card, right? You know, comes resource. Well, what does the first thing of Force Lightning do? It says choose a unit.
Zap the DJ.
It loses all abilities for the phase. Okay. And then if you control a Force unit, you can turn, pay extra resources to do damage. Well, a lot of time when they play their Super Laser Tech, you don't have a Force unit out, right? But in this deck, you're running a leader that does 1 damage by himself, right? So, one thing that really elevated my games with this is casting Force Lightning on the Super Laser Tech, killing it with the Vader leader, you know, and then they don't get to ram. You know, or you have your Super Laser Tech out, then they play one, and then you take initiative. You know, Force Lightning off the gun. Okay, so now their Super Laser Tech is just a 2/1. You can suicide yours into theirs. It kills them both, but theirs doesn't become a resource.
That is brutal. You know, we have a term here at Late Night Gaming called wind scoop. Well, my friends, that is a wind scoop moment. We need some type of jingle or buzzer beater thing on these videos where we can hit wind scoop, wind scoop.
I might have made a video with Zap the DJ. All right, we got 2 lightsabers in the deck. The better, in my opinion, is Fallen Lightsaber because it gives you 3 health in addition to 3 attacks.
Right.
And then you have a 1 of Vader Saber, which basically you plan Vader and can do 4 damage to a ground unit. Interestingly limited to ground, but it also does 3 extra attack. So who can you throw these swords on, Solo?
Well, obviously, putting them on your Force units like 5th Brother and 7th Sister isn't bad. Problem is, you probably have to wait a turn to do it. Now, something that I typically like to do when I play is I like sometimes, depending on the matchup. This is not something you do in every matchup. If you're playing blue control, you don't do this. But maybe in the aggro matchup, you can put this on your probe droid, for instance. And now your probe droid is a 5. No, sorry, it's a 6/5. And that's a pretty saucy probe.
Yeah, and that's a big probe. And then what happens if you cast Overwhelming Barrage on that?
Oh, man.
Right. All right, which brings us to the combo piece, which is a Snowtrooper Lieutenant. Now, this is not something you want to play on your first turn. That would be a sad Trooper Lieutenant because he can't send anybody.
Very sad.
But he does combo. One of the combos is with Vader, because Vader can pull him out and use him to attack with another unit, nesting the ability. And then he's also good into Super Laser Tech as a different combo to give you reach. Because that lets you kill units that have up to 4 health. And what decks have units with up to 4 health? Most of them.
Most of them, yeah.
Right. And it's very good into Sabine. I think Snowtrooper Lieutenant is not something you sideboard out ever against Sabine.
Right.
Take the Rage.
Rage.
All right. So how do you get rid of Sabine's units? Well, we have a lot of removal. We talked about Barrage, Force Throw, and Force Lightning. What about Open Fire? I mean, this is like as vanilla a card as it can get. Does 4 damage. Does it come in handy?
Open Fire comes in handy because Open Fire actually, when you don't have Open Barrage, is an early to turn 2 play a lot of the time, which helps you get rid of space units. So a lot of time, if you're playing against aggro, because honestly, when you're playing Vader, a lot of your attention is going to go to aggro because that is the weakest matchup for this deck because of how low it gets to the ground to really strike down your base. And you're playing a 25 health base. And one thing you have to know is when you're playing a 25 health base, a lot of time you're going to be in the control. The aggro is playing a 30 health base, and so you're going to be assuming the control position. Open Fire,
Yeah, I think so too. Open Fire is what I look for in my initial hand against Sabine. Yeah. And a lot of times if aggro, plays, if Sabine plays her turn 1 play and has initiative, just claim. If you have Open Fire, take initiative, kill their A-Wing with the Open Fire, and then you're in good shape that game. The first 2 rounds, Sabine did 2 damage to you with her pings and 2 damage to herself.
Right.
All right, so then we got Force Choke here. And I think Force Choke is really a card that's very much anti-aggro card and only anti-aggro in this deck. It's great against ground units. Don't cast it against control. You can't give them the cards.
Right. Also, this card does have a cost reduction when you have what the deck is built for, Force units.
Right. So, but if you can kill a leader or something, go ahead and Force Choke. I mean, that's what it's in there.
Right.
All right, so here we got spaceships. So this deck is not winning in space. It's surviving in space. So the first one we have up is the Star Viper. How's this used?
Star Viper is crucial in the aggro matchup. Combined with ECL, you ram this thing into their A-Wings. And then not only do you kill that A-Wing, and here's the thing, you kill the A-Wing, and you keep your Star Viper because the A-Wing only has 1 damage.
And on top of that, you heal 2.
You heal 2. That is a major swing in a weak matchup.
Yep. And then similar, on the other end of the spectrum, the Interceptor and the Ruthless Raider are fire spray killers.
Yes.
Okay. Probably the best rare in the game is Boba Fett's fire spray, at least in a Boba deck.
Exactly.
Comes out ready. Save your ECLs. Ram the Interceptor into it, which kills both. And the Ruthless Raider, it not only can kill the fire spray by directing the 2 damage at it and its 4 attack, but it survives. All right, let's talk about matchups. First off, we got the feared Boba yellow deck. Who plays this deck? Home. And he routinely trashes us. But it's a good matchup. I mean, you can win it with Vader. So, the thing I want to say about this matchup is you're the control. Kill their units like you do Sabine. Don't let them land the 4 Cunnings. And are lightsabers a good idea?
Nope.
What's going to happen?
Your units will get bounced.
Yeah, Waylay, Cantina Bouncer, get in with Bodhi. Just sideboard those sucker out. You don't want to...
Cunning itself?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much bounce, you can't believe it. So, just upgrades are real bad into Boba Yellow. You do want to ramp. If you can ramp against Boba Yellow, he can't deal with Vader. Not easily. He's got a no good to me dead, but that's it.
Yeah.
Next best matchup is the best deck, I think, in the game. Boba Green. Okay.
Right.
And one major advantage of the Vader Force Ramp deck is it's got as good a matchup into Boba Green as anything. You should win.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so
yes.
We talked about out-ramping. You want your extra resupplies in.
Right.
There's shield units. There's the little crafty guy that's got a shield, and there's the 7th Fleet Defender that's got a shield. Ping the shields. Zap the DJ. If you can keep that super laser tech from ramping. It's there. And there's less bounce, but you need to be conscious that your units might get bounced. And Traitorous. What is
I was gonna say what? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was gonna say one of the major reasons why Boba, your favorite, into Boba Green, which is one of the best decks in the game, is because of Vader leader unit. Once again, when you ramp into your thing is just bigger than their thing,
right?
And so that's a lot of time what it comes down to, because in a lot of sense, you can either come out as early as their Boba unit, or you can come out a turn after typically. And they just can't deal with your onslaught. They have to actually sideboard, and it depends on the Boba deck. They'd have to sideboard some bigger units just to keep up with you.
Yeah, I actually just finished a league match with the best of 3 of Boba Green that I managed to come out the victor with this deck. And that's what it is. I mean, I think I deployed Vader the same turn as Boba on game 1. It's going to be a win for Vader. He's just bigger. The Fang Fighters are in your sideboard to deal with Traitorous. So that's an upgrade that lets them take your units, take them back. It's a blowout.
Right.
All right, this is the feared matchup. Thought to be unwinnable, but I think it's more like a 60-40. We talked about it. You got to kill the first one play.
Yes.
All the removal comes in. You can kill it all. I've had games against Sabine where I won with like 5 damage on my base, all from Sabine pings.
Yes.
You have that much removal, a lot of times. And if you can get there, you don't need to be... here's the hot take. I don't think you should keep resupply in your deck against Sabine.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's not that hot. That's pretty good take.
that 3 resources where you do nothing, you don't even have a body. I mean, you're going to take more damage than what it's worth. So I think the super laser tech can still play if you can get the lieutenant, or if you can kill like one of the special ops with it. But I do think that resupply should go out.
Also, quickly, mulligan decision. Make sure you have a turn 1 play. No turn 1 play against aggro is a death sentence.
Right. Or open fire. If they have initiative,
right,
you might be skipping your first turn 1 play, to do that. All right. The control decks, Iden Green, but this could also be Krennic Green. This could be Palp Blue. Anything that's a blue-green villain control is about the same deck.
Right.
All right. So you're the beatdown. You want to be trying to do damage to them because their top end is actually going to be a little bit bigger than you. This is not one for the Viper Probe. It's usually going to get killed by a super laser tech. All right. But it's got shields for Iden in particular. What do we do with the shield?
Ping it.
Ping it. All right. Oh, and here's a good one. Power of the Dark Side. That is a 3-cost removal that Villain Blue has. It makes them defeat a unit. So it is a horrible idea to deploy Vader into an empty board.
Horrible. Horrible.
All right.
Quickest way to lose that matchup.
Yeah. But what you can do is attack the hand. I mean, any of these decks have a lot of removal. And that's actually what the Forced Surrender card is in here, along with Force Throw, which attacks the hand. But if you can make Iden dump 2 cards late in the game, that's probably the end, and you're going to win.
There's an interesting, real quick, there's an interesting scenario, right, where depending on, a lot of people do run ECL when they're playing this matchup, but in the rare case that they run a 30 health base because they just want the more protection, you're still the beatdown.
Mm-hmm.
Because their units are not as threatening. In the Krennic matchup, that speed race, I always forget his name. The speed
Rollerblades.
2-cost race.
Scout Bake Pursuer is its name.
Scout Bike.
Call it Rollerblades.
There are scenarios where he can become a 5/4. But other than that, their units aren't as threatening. So even with the 30 health base, typically you would be the control. No, against the control, you are the beatdown, even with the gap.
I think
in
that's
health.
a good point. And the one that's probably going to be running a 30 base is Pelt, because he has blue, so he can't run ECL. So it's,
Right.
All right, so these decks are on the up and coming. Chirrut, Luke, Hero Blue, actually Chewie. There's some cool Chewie decks that are coming out of Europe. But
Innocent till proven guilty.
that's right. You know, get your Wookiee on. But I've played a lot of Hero Blue Red. It's a great deck. Got to remember they can force throw.
Right.
And they're actually better at it than you because they have some more blue units. So
Right.
you got to be conscious of that, you know, hand management. If you can go down to
Yes.
0, you know, if you can play all your cards, that's great. All right. And then the other thing is they got lightsabers. All right. So
Right.
it's the same deal. The Fang Fighters in your sideboard can take
Right.
out their Jedi Sabers. All right.
Also, just a little tip for players trying to get better. Make sure you are always watching your opponent's resources before you do something. So many times, new players walk right into takedowns because you're playing blue. If there's 4 resources up and you're deciding to play something, you must think about takedown.
Oh,
Think about it.
I think that's right too. And also, I mean, if they have like 3 resources out and they claim, okay, you're running a deck that runs force throw. I can tell you that they probably have something that costs more than 3, right? So think about that. The pilot skill. This is why I think you're right. This is a high skill level deck. It is. You are the control. It is not as simple as bashing their face all the time. In fact, usually you don't.
Right.
But be tactical with your force throws.
Right.
All right. Last matchup is the Mirror. You're playing another Vader. I think a lot of this comes down to who gets Barrage. And who gets Barrage first. Because what you can't do is cast Barrage on an empty board. So I've claimed early, taking the initiative early, you know, while I know I would have a unit out, even though I could have like played another Stormtrooper. So I could cast Overwhelming Barrage and clear their board off the gun. And then I know that they're hanging it. So that's a good thing in the rear. And other tips for the Vader Mirror?
I mean, sometimes it just comes down to how many overwhelming barrages do you see throughout the game. Did your opponent make the foolish mistake of resourcing their overwhelming barrage because they had 2 in hand? Keep those overwhelming barrages.
Don't do that. Don't resource Barrage. I mean,
ever.
I resource Unit Vader before Overwhelming Barrage.
Yes. Yes.
And Unit Vader is the best unit in the game, but you got to keep him. But it's a winnable match.
There's no card. I should say this. Never resource Overwhelming Barrage until proven otherwise.
So Solo's rules for life.
Yes.
All right, so that is what we got. Thanks for watching. I think that the Vader Force Ramp is an excellent deck. It is a top 6 deck. I very well may take it to the major tournament that I see coming up in set 1. So let us know what you think. We put a lot of time in the video. Tell us in the comments and hit us up on Discord.